Hi, I'm Gail Minogue, and I wanted to talk to you again as I follow up on last week's YouTube I did on the changes and what we can expect moving forward from the election. And I had mentioned a group of ideas, so I wanted to continue to go on that with what we can expect during these following years, 25 to 28. Because the big election that I always say is 2028. It was never this election. We had deeply flawed candidates who were looking at the past and not looking at the future, but they will be inaugurated under the future in January 20th or whatever it is he gets inaugurated. He will have to live moving forward under a different auspices, a different energy. So even though he was elected under the old energy with Pluto in Capricorn, it's already left as of the 19th into Pluto in Aquarius, where it will stay for 20 years. 20 years. So, folks, it will get better, but not for another year or two. Because this transition takes time where it doesn't pay for the people to revolt like they did. This was a big revolt. And things will start to gradually change till we get to 2028. And 10 years from now, America will look very, very different than it does today. So this was a big revolt. As I said on the original last week's video, it was really a pimple. And this election was a symptom from overeating too much Halloween candy of too many years. So I want to touch on a few areas of what we can expect going forward. And what we can expect maybe in the wars, the economy, all that kind of stuff. Right now, and I'm not going to look in a crystal ball, so much is dependent upon rules, regulations, how many rules are broken or changed, because I think what we're going to see is try to deregulate a lot, which can be done with executive orders. So that you'll see that. But remember, 2028 is what you're looking for, not this one. So there'll be a lot of upset and challenges and lawsuits and pushback. You're not going to deport all those illegals because the function of this country is on the back of these illegals, and they work in the farms and the factories and the meat cutters and the tomato pickers and your nurses' aides and on all this old folks' homes and nursing homes, etc. Half the people who work the farms in California are illegal. So if you want food, you're not going to deport them. There's already a shortage of the farmers. Even if they pay them 20, 25, 26 an hour, they're not going to work. Because Americans, non-Mexican, non-Latinos, do not want to work the fields, and they won't. And it's proven over again that the food will lie fallow and we don't get fed. So it's short-sighted, but it sounds good. It makes it look like something's going on, but it's not. The other thing to take a look at as the Ukraine and the Middle East for these wars, first of all, one of the things that Trump got right in his thinking, which is really, if you look at it and step back, is Europe. And Europe, when we joined NATO, back in end of World War II, Europe was a very broken area. The countries had been bombed and destroyed and all that. So America stepped in and really, really helped rebuild these nations and have set up the program of NATO, which is very good. But the problem is, since then, these countries have become very wealthy, very comfortable, and we have been subsidizing them all these years. So it's time for them to belly up to the bar. And when you get invaded like Russia did for Ukraine, it was really Europe who should be first in line to come to the rescue, because it's these countries that will be the secondary invasion from Russia. But they hadn't saved, they hadn't built an army, they didn't pay the price, they didn't prepare. So America has been doing most of the dirty work since Russia invaded. And here, I call it the come to Jesus meeting of who's going to step up if America steps back. America, I don't believe, will step out. It will step back. So it is one thing that I would agree that Ukraine is really part of Europe, and that should be the first line of defense. But since they didn't prepare, they have to, almost like a naughty child. If mommy and daddy subsidized him for a long time, why should they do anything? And they didn't. So now they have to put in, say, a military budget, and they have to train troops and get their countries up to speed. So I don't think that Trump is going to stop this war day one. No, I don't believe that at all. Neither does he. However, it's going to be a political, negotiated, some kind of arrangement, whether it takes 6 months, a year, or whatever. I think both sides will want that, but you have to give the pain to Russia to make that work. So if he can have good negotiators do that and make it more painful for Russia, then you can have a negotiated settlement. So that will be the big step there. And the other thing, looking at, I don't believe he's going to give Ukraine to Russia, and Russia victory. That will not go over well about America. So one of the things about Trump, and Trump has a very interesting birth chart, a numerology chart, which I have done. I actually met his staff way back in the 90s when I did an article for a magazine. I had to interview his head person then, and she was an older woman, Italian woman. She was a sweetheart, and she ran his whole office, and she ran him, who they called Donnie. Donnie was how he was called. He wasn't called Donald. He was Donnie. So he is used to having a woman run the show. So I'm not surprised that he took this woman, Susie Wiles, as his chief of staff or whatever you call it. And that's perfect for him. And hopefully she's the last person he listens to, because he does listen. He listened to her back in the 90s when I wrote the article, and he was a very different person than he is now. But he has an interesting chart. In fact, he has no missing numbers in his name. He is not stupid at all. He's not stupid at all. You underestimate him. He has almost like a double face. I am this crazy person, because he'll tell you I'm crazy. He's not crazy. He's crazy like a fox. He knows what he's doing. But he has this issue of pleasing his father and never being able to please his father enough. Plus, he's been trained under Roy Cohn, who was the hit job man for McCarthy during the McCarthy era, and learned that you never say you're sorry. You never let them win. Okay, you never back down, and you fight, which is how it serves him well. He ignores, and it works, and so he behaves like a crazy person, but he's not, and he's extremely bright. Although I don't think he believes he's extremely bright. At some level, there's a basic insecurity about trying to please his dad. So he's always trying to show you. I'll show you, I'll show you. So this was, I'll show you. This is the ultimate, I'll show you. I'll get myself elected and go see. So loyalty is extremely, extremely important. He will work hard. I'm not saying he'll work smart, but he'll work hard. His biggest problem is he needs the limelight. He desperately needs the limelight. So he's going to do things that keep him in the limelight, and you don't want to steal his limelight. So all these people who are, kowtowing or playing up to him right now, they need to be careful, because he wants to be the limelight, not you. So nobody's going to take that away from him, period. And he's smart enough to roll you in and reel you in and then catch you. So, but he is, I think, could probably negotiate something with the Russian or Ukraine, the Middle East. He's very involved, his family's very involved in the Middle East with Saudi Arabia. But he's not happy with this whole idea of drawing out the Israelis' bombardment. The Palestinian idea is not going away. There's a book to read if you're ever interested called The Bride and the Dowry. And basically, Israel wants the land, but they don't want the bride. So the dowry would be the land, but I don't want the people. So that right wing is trying to get rid of the people. And so I do believe that he can influence that situation once he gets in there. And again, he's not stupid. He knows. So that's an interesting, I've seen both sides of him, from having to do this during the 90s and do this article and interview people, blah, blah, blah. And so, but he is part of the past. He is not of the future, nor was, what's her name, Harris. She was not of the future either. And she did these old tropes, and that doesn't work anymore. You know, democracy is, you know, people just want cheaper prices, and that's not going to happen either. You're not going to lower prices at all. What happened in the economy in America as we had COVID, and we also had what I call the caste system with the elites and the highly educated and the non-educated and all that, and that's a whole another whole talk. But when COVID hit, it affected a lot of losses in what we'll call product you couldn't get, and supply chains and all that. And a lot of people weren't working. And so we have a problem here with inflation, because once people started to come back, they wanted products, they wanted to get this, they wanted to get that, and it wasn't available. And so prices shot to the moon, basically. And that was, you know, with a 9% inflation, it really put a kibosh on pricing. So the inflation has come down, which is good. You keep hearing inflation's down, but prices never came down. I mean, I go out to eat or I buy this, I look at like, what did I get for my money? And so that's where people are looking, and they're tired of hearing that we're going to lower grocery prices. No. They're going to, you know, try to get you in a house. Well, what if I don't have the money to get in a house anyway? It isn't about that, it's day to day. So the messaging was very, very poor in the Harris campaign. They didn't get the pulse of the people, and they don't understand the caste system that goes on in America. And nobody talks about a caste system. We just talk about it for India. But there is one here. It's been, you know, this is the big 80-year cycles in America when this really happened. I mean, remember, America almost destroys itself to go to a whole nother level of enlightenment and you know, all that. If you go through what America's going through, it starts in a revolution in 1780, okay? We start to develop this nation, okay? And we go out 80 years, and boom, we have a civil war. And we almost destroy ourselves. And we come out of that in a few years, like 1880, we have the Industrial Revolution, and we completely revived. It's fabulous. And we start locomotives, and we go trains and planes and automobiles and all that. Well, not quite. But then we go out another 80 years, and guess what? We have World War II, and now we almost survived that. And then we can reinvent ourselves, and we're prosperous, and we're the king of the world with prosperity and industry and all that. And here we are again, almost destroying ourselves it's equal to the 70s. The 2020s are equal to the 1970s. We're almost doing it again. It's like the democracy's going to die. Everything's going to fall apart. The services are broken down. I'm what we consider an elderly person, and there are basically no services. So who's going to take care of me when I age? Me. You know what? I don't know. So what I'm saying is we're reinventing ourselves and destroying ourselves in the process of reinventing ourselves. So economically, we're doing well. Now, certain people are not doing well. As I just said, the prices stayed high. And the only way you're going to have this equilibrium is that the wages get more. The wages come up to meet these inflation prices. That will happen, but it takes time. The reason we don't have enough housing, people are homeless, they can't buy, there's enough housing. There's been nothing really done about building more housing. This is not a new thing. The elderly didn't just land on your doorstep. So all of these areas, from the elder care, from the housing, all of these things, the education system, the elite, none of them has been addressed. Nothing's addressed. Trump is not going to address it. He's going to look at these parts and try to do deregulation and all that. But without the underlying issues, it's just going to make a lot of noise for the next 4 years. And a lot of things will be reconstrued, but 2028 brings in what you really want, which is a more harmonious citizenry, wages that are improved, the older people. All of that is in the process once we take this inauguration under the new Pluto in Aquarius. So it's something to look forward to, but you have to pay a price first. And that's going to be the next 4 years. Don't panic. Don't panic. The citizens they already had one revolt. They'll revolt again if it isn't working. And so what I remind you is the economy is strong. Now, segments have to be addressed. There's things it could do that tariff could influence that. Housing, building more housing, but all of these things take time. So give it 4 years. That's about it, because the next election is the one you want. Make sure you have good candidates for 2028. This was a revolt candidacy and a revolt election. The people revolted. Now they want to put it together and have something better. So they have to go through the sausage factory of the next 4 years. You're going to have craziness going on. You're going to throw out crazy people. You're going to say stupid things like we're going to get rid of all the illegals. Really? 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 I like my fruits and vegetables too much, okay? And I like some sausage and bacon and maybe chicken. I would like to have that. Who's going to do that? Who's going to do that? Who's going to build the houses? Who's the construction people? You think we have a bunch of white Europeans up there building houses? No. So it's realistic. It's sitting back, have a cup of tea, relax. The next 4 years can be quite unsettling. So we'll continue to talk about it. One of the things I just recently did, I did a Zoom program. I think it was November 5, maybe. No, that was election. It was November 9. I did it November 9th, and I recorded it. If you would like to buy it, it's available on my website for $29. I think you would. You just go to gailminogue.com under shop or products or what have you, and you'll find it there. And you can get a whole synopsis of different areas to look at. So don't panic. Love thy neighbor. Begin to love thy neighbor. And we'll talk to you next time. And I look forward to doing that. And thank you so much. I know I've mentioned a lot here, but there's even more and more of a synopsis of some of these ideas. I recently had a Zoom program on the 9th, and I recorded that, and that product is for sale on my website. So if you would like to have a maybe more thorough information on this important subject matter, you can purchase that and listen. And if you have any Q&A or anything you want to get back to me on, please contact me. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you.